lecture, let's quickly discuss about a new method which was introduced in ES 2022, that is none other than the ACT method. So let's get into it to understand what is the work of this ACT method, okay? So traditionally, if you want to access any particular index into an array, how would you do that? So let's create an array quickly, or I've just copied this array from the above examples, previous examples, okay? So if you want to access any index, then traditionally how you would do it? You would simply use that array and then the square bracket notation, right? To pass that particular index. Let's say you want to access the first element, the second element. So you will pass the index number 1, okay? And if you want to access the last index, then how you would do it? You will simply go ahead and you will use array dot length minus 1, right, to get the last index of an array, because here we don't know like what will be the index of the last element, right? So simply we use a workaround, we pass array dot length minus 1 and then we will get the last index here, okay? And with previous lecture, we have also learned one more example. One second. Yeah, where we can use the slice, okay, to get the last index, where we can pass the negative index, so it will start counting from the right hand side and then you will get the last index, but it will be wrapped in an array. To extract this, you have to use again the square bracket notation and 0, zeroth index, then only you will get the last index element, okay? So here you can start seeing the problem already with the traditional syntaxes, right? Because here if you want to access the last element, last index of last element of the array, then you have to do these things. But with the new ES 2022 syntax, what we have to do is we simply have to use one method which will does all this work for us. And as its name specifies, it is at method. So we are literally calling a method which we write, right? Here what it is, like it is array at position 1. So this method is what it is doing actually. So array at, then here we pass the particular position, let's say 1, okay? And then you guys are getting the element which is at position 1, that means which is at index number 1, okay? So we have 2 here, that is why we are getting 2 here. And then if you want to access the last element, then all you need to do is you just need to pass the negative index in it, and then it will start counting from the left hand side and it will return the element which is present at the last index, okay? As you can see, we are getting 6 here, which is the last element of the array. And as you can see, this is way cleaner than writing something like this, okay? And since this extracts the element in particular index, so we can also use this into strings, okay? Let me show you an example of strings. Let's say Raunak. I'm not storing it in some variable, I'm using it directly here, okay? So here we are trying to access the last element of this particular string, then that is why it is giving us k here, okay? Let's use some other index, let's say -3, so it will give a n here, so probably this is -3 index of the string. So this at method you guys can use in the strings as well as arrays, okay? So now it's also up to your personal preferences, like which one you want to use. If you want to access any elements directly from an array, then you can go ahead with the square bracket notation the traditional way, and personally I also use it most of the times because it's little easier than this one. But in case of accessing the elements from the end of the array, you guys should go with the at method, okay, because it is way simpler than doing this sort of workaround, okay. And then if you want to do something like method chaining, obviously I'm keep on repeating this method chaining term. So method chaining means we are simply calling multiple methods one after another. So this we will learn in one of the future lectures, as I've mentioned already. Okay. So for method chaining also, this add method is a perfect scenario to use those chaining things, right? So now it's up to your personal preference, like which one you want to use, this one or this one. And then in some specific use cases, you guys can go ahead with this add method. And then in some specific use cases, you guys can go ahead with the old traditional square brackets or the slice methods. Okay. So yeah, and one more thing, guys, I want to tell you, since I'm keep on telling you or teaching you new methods of the arrays or anything. So obviously we as a human being don't remember everything at the same time, right? We don't remember exactly how everything works in the programming language or any other coding language, right? So whenever you guys feel like you want to understand this again, you guys can come back to these lectures, and if you want to use it, then you can simply go ahead and watch these particular lectures and then use it in your scenarios. Or you guys can uh, jump right into the MDN and then you just pass whatever you are looking for. Okay, so here I wanted to understand a little bit more about add method. So I'll go in the MDN, I'll pass MDN add method, and then you will get some more examples and some playground to play with it to understand a little bit more about this. And then same way you guys can search for rest of the methods, whichever I have explained earlier and whichever new you want to explore. Okay, so all those methods you will find in the MDN as well. Okay, and if you don't find its explanation comfortable, then you guys can obviously come back to these videos and you can re-watch the lectures. Okay, so yeah, this is it about add methods. So this is it for this lecture, guys. So see you in the next one.